Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucia, and I am here to discuss the mitigating strategies that I have developed for my climate literacy conversations project in the Coursera website. I want to explain forest fires in Spain and the effects of deforestation and the warming of the European biosphere. My intervention is the recommendation of a community-based climate literacy program to train communities in climate changes and impacts as the result of climate warming, decreased vegetation, and forest fires. During the last decade, Spain has been experiencing record temperatures, having the warmest years on the record since 10,000 years ago. This year there will be no exception, as the temperatures are in the rise according to most weather and climate monitoring centers. Here we see some photos of the devastating forest fires that occurred during the last summer of 2012. In this graphic, we can see the registration of the temperature variabilities during the whole period, during an entire period of 100 years. These temperature variabilities have been recorded by the different meteorological centers here in Spain, where we can see there has been a range of increased variability during the last 100 years. This is from 1875 to the year 2000. In this graphic, we are looking at the fire weather index for the European continent from the periods of 1961 to 1990 to in 2071 to 2100. These are projections where we can see that the fire weather index scale between 1961 and 2100 will significantly increase over time for the European continent. The projected changes in precipitation for the European region, we can see this is for the next 50 to 70 years, where we can see a projection of an increased changes of precipitation between 15 to 10% at present to over 30% changes, where we can see a belt around the whole Mediterranean region, Turkey, Italy, of a severe increase in temperatures. The vulnerabilities and the projections for the future? Well, forest fire danger, length of the fire season, and fire frequency and severity are very likely to increase in the Mediterranean and will lead to increased dominance of shrubs and trees. Dry weather and damaged ecosystems also will accumulate. Dead biomass will increase, and all these elements will increase forest fires. Increase climate variability, therefore, will also increase the risk of forest fires. In addition, forest fires are expected to encourage the spread of invasive species, which in turn have been shown to fuel more frequent and more intense forest fires. These are some of the arguments stated by the European Community Environmental Agency regarding the whole European continent, and which we can see, as we saw in the past graphic, of the increased variability and increased temperature for the European continent, where the south of France is as strongly affected as Spain, but only in August and September. Also, there will be 2 to 6 additional weeks of fire risk everywhere, except for the south of Italy and Cyprus. The maximum increase is again inland for Spain the Maghreb Islands, the Balkans, North Italy, and central Turkey. My recommendations on the implications of adaptive action for mitigation would be a direct involvement for environmental interventions at the community level, also training and education to agricultural industry workers and their communities, an evaluation of the soil and future planning of crops based on estimated climate changes, and also community training to educate communities in contributing to sustainable solutions to mitigate these problems associated to atmospheric environmental pollutants. Also, in terms of the government, to provide resources to achieve these effective community outcomes and to evaluate for future impacts of regional and environmental changes at the European level. The financial resources that we need is to establish funds at the community, at the municipal level, to begin again training and education to communities on climate changes, environmental factors, emergency preparedness, and interventions based on mitigating factors related to behavior modification to effectively achieve reduction of environmental pollutants. Therefore, we must all work together to cooperate with government and international agencies to see that we can work for solutions over time. Establish local organizations to receive funds from private industry, and establish resource funds from EU environmental organizations to monitor effectiveness of intervention programs at the local level. In the human aspect, we should become all active in all levels of policy relevance. We should also become active members that will be climate literally and biodiversity relevant. That we can work to establish peer-to-peer networks to expand community resources for sustainable outcomes, build active networks to effectively evaluate and make recommendations to conservation policies, land use policies at the legislation level, and also evaluate what overarching factors are being done between the local measures and the European Union policy measures. In terms of technology, I'm recommending to establish cooperation agreements at the local level with weather environmental government agencies at the national level and EU level for shared use of resource technologies between community members and local weather and environmental organizations. Being interconnected is vital, so we can see what are the projections through our international and local organizations and work in cooperation. It is also important to incorporate emergency response teams as means to train our communities in understanding what things needed to be implemented and what things can we do when we are faced with emergency situations at the individual and local levels. In terms of cultural, we have to educate communities towards cooperation and team integration by learning the importance of balances between ethics, religion, cultural anthropology, and scientific technologies by combining the best of each world for effective community cooperation. Our challenges and solutions would be to engage government organizations and community-based actions in Spain that will be effective at the upstream level. We have to begin to establish more bridges of understanding and more public awareness so that organizations and government organizations and community organizations can work closely to create more effective solutions and outcomes over time, especially when we are looking at emergency preparedness. We're looking at changes in soil, properties and what kind of planning communities should take to mitigate any possible changes if need to be over time. Self-empowerment through educating communities is vital for change. Establish cooperation between private industries, communities, and government through environmental town hall meetings, radio shows, interventions, and by celebrities. Also, we should link to the global picture, working through European agencies at the EU level to further environmental interventions and evaluate the overall impacts of the local intervention at the EU level, the European level. Also become closer with international cooperation agencies that will further approval and implementation of local measurements, global environmental policies, Kyoto Protocol, and global environmental agencies as means to measure local outcomes in relation to regional global impacts, assessment criteria, interventions, and effective mitigating policies, by which the model that I am trying to recommend will be a model that can be replicated not only at the local level, but if it's effective, by training and establishing effective community based peer-to-peer networking in environmental and climate literacy. This model can be also implemented at the national level and in other countries as well. World organizations will link with local organizations through EU environmental agencies to measure the impacts at a global scale for effective compliance to the milestones and goals and objectives of the Kyoto Protocol. And cultural, social, anthropological beliefs, religion, and history needs to bridge the cultural gaps for effective establishment of cooperation across communities in Spain and the European members of the Intercontinental EU Commission, its laws and its treaties. These are my recommendations. I thank you so very kindly for the opportunity of presenting my mitigating action for community-based education and training for peer-to-peer networking in environmental climate literacy. And I thank you so very kindly. Again, this is Lucia, and I'm reporting from Madrid, Spain. On today, which is July 29, 2013. Thank you very much.